Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from JessCrafts.com, and today I have a card for the Nook Designs April release. This is the last stamp set of the release and it's called Garden Whimsy. It's a great stamp set for gardeners or people who just like flowers, something spring and fun. And it features Winston the bear looking really cute with the watering can there, and then the rabbit that you've seen in a few different Nook stamp sets with a sunflower in his pot. What I particularly like about this stamp set is all the other smaller elements that help you to build a scene, like the fence, the little potted flower, and the grass. But for today's card, I'm going to keep it a little bit more clean and simple. And what I like about the card is it ended up being a card that could actually be used for a guy. And this card, or this stamp set at first glance, might not seem like a masculine stamp set, but if you arrange the colors correctly and keep it simple, you can certainly make cards for anyone with these stamps. So I started by stamping down Winston, and I knew that I wanted to create a highlight area. And this might remind you of a card I shared earlier this week where I did the same thing, where I created just a round circle highlight to put the elements in, but I'm going to be doing it in more of a one-layer look today. So instead of fussy cutting, I will just be masking off Winston, and then I will be creating the highlight with distress inks. So here you see that I'm stamping Winston onto some Ink-a-Tink-a-Doo stamping mask paper. I decided that it would be worth doing the masking for me, even though that means fussy cutting him out, because I could use the mask multiple times, and if I actually fussy cut him out, I would only get that one time. And so after I have my mask cut, I'm ready to create my own mask for the circular area, and this time I decided to do it with post-it notes because I want a very particular size circle. And so I had started with the stitched rectangle die from Lawn Fawn for my panel, and so I'm going to cut my sticky note with the same stitched rectangle die and a circle die from MFT, and I'm trying to basically place it on the sticky note where I would have it on the card, and then I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. So you'll see how that turned out in just a second, but I'm going to start by covering Winston with the mask. And now I can take the sticky note mask and lay it right over my panel. I'm taking a little bit of micropore tape and taping it down. I recently switched to the micropore tape, and I find that there's a little bit less, it doesn't hold on to your paper as much, so that way when you lift it up you're going to get less peeling of the paper off. I was finding with painter's tape or washi tape that sometimes it would pull up the paper, and I'm getting that less with micropore. It does still do it sometimes, but it's just I'm actually liking it quite a bit. And for the background, I'm going to be using Broken China and Mermaid Lagoon Distress ink. I wanted to try out the really deep blue that is the Mermaid Lagoon in this particular card, as I haven't gotten to play with it yet. I start by laying the Broken China everywhere, although I try to concentrate most of the darkest color on the top, so there's a kind of a little bit of a fade into the area around Winston, and then I layer on the Mermaid Lagoon over it again, keeping it darker towards the top, using the round foam applicators from Distress. And I find that no matter how you apply the ink, I don't ever get those harsh lines from where the foam pad ends. I dry it with a heat gun just to make sure none of the ink spreads, because Distress ink does take a little bit of time to dry. Then I'm ready to stamp my sentiment, and I'm going to switch over to the archival jet black ink for the sentiment. I stamped Winston in the My Favorite Things Black Licorice Hybrid ink because I am going to be doing some copic coloring on him. And you can't really see it on the video, but I actually did mess up my stamping a little bit, and so I wound up creating a second panel because I'm a perfectionist, but also because, more importantly, I know this card will be photographed for the Nook blog, and I wanted to make sure it was my absolute best. So in other cases, I might have tried to save it, and I still did hold on to that panel, but it is just a little bit smudged. And so then I wanted to ground Winston a little bit, and so I'm adding the grass, and I'm stamping it in Hero Arts ink. I'm using one of their shadow inks, and I keep the mask on Newton so that he will appear to be amongst the grass. And I want to layer the grass in, so I start with one line right there Winston's feet. I don't know why I want to keep calling him Newton, because I know he's not Newton. Newton is the kitty cat from all of the Newton stamp sets. And so I just started with 2 layers of grass to see how I would like it. And in the end, I find that I actually want to pull the grass down a little bit more because I felt that there was a little too much white space at the bottom of the card. The sentiment that I stamped I really, really like. It says the grass is greener wherever you are. And I think that's a great like love sentiment, missing you sort of sentiment. And I'll probably send this card over to Operation Right Home because I think that is a really great general card. You know, you could send it to a guy, or a guy would like to send it because it's not too frilly or anything like that. And so I think that they would get good use out of it. I'm doing my copic coloring, and I'm using my favorite brown combination of E31, 33, and 35. And sometimes I extend it all the way out to 37, but I thought since the areas are pretty small today that just 3 colors would probably be enough. And in fact, I probably could have gotten away with just the 2 colors. What I'm starting with is laying on my base color, and then I layered on the darker colors, but I found that I was getting a little too much ink on the paper that way, and so I decided to go back to my standard way of adding the darkest color first and then blending it out with the lighter colors. I find that that's actually probably what's most successful in these smaller areas, but when you color a larger image, it is generally better to lay down a light coat first and then add the shadows in. And I'm going to be adding the shadows, you know, where 2 objects meet, like I always say, you know, where the head meets the body and things like that. And also to give him a little bit of rounded in his face, I decided to add the shadows at the top and the bottom rather than the sides, because Newton kind of has that oblong football-shaped head. In those instances, and similar to Newton as well, I like to add the shadows from the top and bottom as opposed to the sides. So I stamped a few more pieces of grass. Like I said, there was a little bit too much white space on the bottom, and I'm using Field Greens ink from Hero Arts. Then I put it on some green note card or cardstock to bring out the green from the grass. I colored the watering can with some simple grays to keep the masculine look, and then I'm putting on a white note card, and that's it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafty videos, you can subscribe to my channel. Today, this is part of the Nook Designs April release blog hop, so you can head on over to my blog and leave a comment on the other designers' blogs for Newton's Nook for your chance to win this stamp set. Thanks for watching. Bye.